Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first residence budget hearing of this upcoming budget cycle. I'm so glad to be here with you. We have many members of our team here to listen to your thoughts, your hopes, your needs, your dreams, and your concerns as relates to our upcoming budget. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to our team so that we can hear from you. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Before we begin hearing from you, we have just a few logistical items to go through. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. If you are unable to testify due to technical issues, written testimony to ensure every voice is considered during the budget process. All testimony, written and oral, is considered by our team. Please send any written testimony to budgettestimony@howardcountymd.gov. Each person will have up to 3 minutes to testify, and those who represent an organization will have up to 5 minutes. Only one person from each organization will receive 5 minutes to testify. You will be called based upon the order of your registration. Everyone is currently muted to avoid background noises. When it is your turn to testify, your name will be called and you will receive a notification to unmute yourself. If you are calling in on the phone, press *6 to unmute. If you are having any difficulty, please send a note in the chat and our tech team will do their best to assist you. All testimony will be audio only to minimize broadband issues and to ensure we can hear you clearly. First up, we have Councilmember Deb Young, followed by Dr. Daria Willis. Okay, Councilmember Young is not here. We'll start with Dr. Daria Willis.
You hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Alrighty. Well, good evening, Dr. Ball and Dr. Sun and fellow panelists. I am honored to be here to testify about the college's fiscal year 2024 budget request. Let me begin, though, by expressing my gratitude for your support of the college this fiscal year. Your funding increase certainly made a huge and a tremendous difference for our employees and our students, and we are so grateful for everything that you did to provide that support to our HCC family. Your support is only the start of a powerful collaboration, and there is so much more that we can accomplish together. An investment in Howard Community College ensures that all residents have the opportunity to transform their lives through education and to find their own pathways to success. For our capital budget, HCC is seeking $11.75 million from the county for the final phase of construction for the mathematics and athletics complex, plus nearly $2 million for furniture and equipment. The state would match this funding. This fused facility will allow the mathematics program to move out of the office building where it is currently housed, and it will replace the 52-year-old athletics building. Our students deserve an educational experience with study spaces and classrooms, gyms, and workout spaces that will support their success. Next, the college is seeking $1 million for systemic renovations for phase-deferred maintenance and renovations to repair or replace critical infrastructure and facilities improvements and upgrades. The final capital budget request, and the one that has the power to truly transform the future for Howard County and the lives of countless families, is our request for new funding to establish a workforce development and trade center. Currently, Maryland is experiencing labor shortages in skilled trade occupations, such as electrical and plumbing, high-wage in-demand jobs for students seeking a family-sustaining career. An investment of $3.95 million each from the county and the college in fiscal year 2024 with help with planning and design. For fiscal year 2025, the college will ask for phase 2 funding from the state and county. The skilled trades program must be housed in facilities that offer hands-on specialized workspaces, equipment, and tools. Without these at HCC, we will continue to lose students to for-profit institutions that drain residents' finances or lose students to neighboring community colleges that will impact the long-term economic vitality of Howard County. For instance, tuition at a for-profit institution costs nearly $25,000 for training that HCC currently offers in an apprenticeship model where employers pay for students' tuition and their salary. And our heating and air conditioning apprenticeship program requires students to drive all the way to Randallstown for training. To provide an additional example, a locally based business in the green industry currently sends its employees who are Columbia residents to Pennsylvania to earn their degrees because we do not have the program or facilities they need. It is clear if Howard Community College does not have a comprehensive package to offer our students, Howard County students and residents will seek their education elsewhere. We seek to offer programs in welding, HVAC, manufacturing, electrical, green energy, among other high-demand jobs to students and adults in our region. And if that wasn't enough, HCC is already facing stiff competition from four-year colleges and universities. With a nationwide enrollment cliff expected in 2025, the competition will only increase, pulling Howard County residents further away from this county. So we must diversify our curriculum and do so now with the establishment of this building. We need your help to keep Howard County residents in our county and contributing to our economy. The Workforce Development and Trade Center is a necessary capital need to accommodate current and future demand from our students and our employers. By investing in the skilled trades through a high-tech, high-touch facility, Howard County will ensure that Howard Community College remains at the table of higher education and not on the menu. Thank you so very much for your time and attention and for your support of the college.
Well, thank you for your testimony and thank you for your partnership in ensuring that Howard Community College is the best community college in the entire nation.
Next up, we have Christopher Marasco, followed by Keisha Hogan.
Happy holidays to all. My name is Chris Marasco, and I currently serve as the chair of the Howard Community College Board of Trustees. My fellow trustees and I are grateful for your ongoing support of Howard Community College and our students, and we sincerely hope we can count on fiscal year 2024 for your continued strong support. In today's competitive educational environment, Howard Community College must rely on consistent annual support to ensure the retention of and the attraction of dedicated, exceptional educators and support staff who believe in the college's mission of providing pathways to success. In fiscal year 2023, county funding enabled Howard Community College to provide salary increases above 5%, the first such increase at the college in over 10 years. I'd like to provide a little context on this well-deserved increase. Since fiscal year 2012, increases, when available, ranged from 1% to just above 4%. And during this time, there were 2 years with increases subject to delayed implementation. 1 year, it was delayed for 3 months. Another year, it was delayed for 6 months. And in fiscal year 2021, there were no salary increases. In order to attract and retain talented, mission-driven employees, it is imperative Howard Community College support its employees with annual salary increases and offer new team members a competitive salary like that of our neighboring colleges. These actions are a clear demonstration that their incredible work, is valued and appreciated. Howard Community College must support its adjunct faculty as well through a pay increase. Even with the college's increase this fiscal year, adjunct pay remains below the rate of Prince George's Community College, HCC's partner institution at the Laurel College Center. A higher pay rate for adjunct faculty will move HCC's faculty closer to that of their counterparts of Prince George's Community College. For these reasons and so many more, HCC is seeking a strong investment in operating funding to engage and retain these mission-driven employees who are committed to helping students on their pathways to success. Your investment in HCC faculty and staff will have an impact that just might transform the lives of HCC families. We need your support and your partnership to help us achieve our mission of providing pathways to success for every student and every employee. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Keisha Hogan, and followed by Councilmember Debbie Young.
Can you hear me? All right. Welcome, and actually thank you guys for inviting me. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Ball, Lonnie Robbins, and Dr. Sun. So my name is Keisha Hogan. I'm a native of California, but I have been a Howard County resident since 2005. When I came to Maryland, I came as a pharmacy tech, just excited about possibly beginning my career as a pharmacy tech. Excuse me. However, after working about a year or so, I found pharmacy tech wasn't for me. So I began taking classes at HCC. Once enrolled in HCC, I joined the Career Links program. Shout out to Career Links. This is a program offered through HCC, and it's a resource for single parents, which this program itself has been paramount in me staying dedicated to my education through their support and their financial aid, and just the resources available, the staff, everybody there really was paramount in getting me through. It also made sure that I didn't have to worry about things getting in the way of my educational goals. Career Links also assisted me with connecting me with a math instructor that helped me achieve a 10-year goal of finishing out my math. So I just literally last semester got an A in my math class, and I've been struggling with this for over 10 years. So through HCC, I got an internship at Luminous, formerly known as Fern, which works with immigrants in Howard County. I was so inspired by the work that they do that my desire to be an advocate in the community grew. Advocacy work feeds my soul and is good for me and is good for the community. Another opportunity I was able to get hooked up with was working with the leadership of Howard County. I did an internship for them, and it was awesome. There, I started to identify my own leadership abilities and skills, and saw what the program had to offer, and I began to kind of like tap into my own true born leader abilities. So shout out to leadership of Howard County. So now, currently, I'm working in mental health. I work for Shepherd Pratt. I am an employment specialist. So just to piggyback on what our president was saying, and in terms of workforce technology, I help individuals who are pursuing trade careers, and this is an absolute. So this is definitely a big thing. So please continue to support HCC and these endeavors. So I will be, once I finish HCC, I'm going to go on to law. I'm going to law school, and I will continue to advocate for myself and my community. So last, to wrap everything up, I just ask that you please support HCC, a wonderful community that has allowed me and prepared me to not only continue to advocate in my community. I'm a strong community advocator, and then also my leadership path and my family. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Councilmember Deb Young, followed by Lori Lilly.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight to listen to our budget requests. I would like to start with a request for an increased or for supplemental funding for Medicaid providers due to the CB 82 minimum wage increase. The increased minimum wage requirements brought on by CB 82 2021 have created a funding hole for charitable organizations, including the ARC Howard County and Winter Growth. My understanding is that they have been informed that they will be receiving funding for did receive funding for FY 2023 through the CSP grant process, but I know that they will continue to need these funds. That is critical for them to be able to close this gap as COVID concerns continue among these organizations. It is harder for them to keep their clients, and they are very dependent on getting Medicaid funding in order to pay the people who provide the services for their clients. So I would ask that you consider again putting money in the budget for FY24 for these organizations. I would also ask that we reinstate bus service to HCPSS in the ARL Homewood campus. The Harper's Choice Village Board has requested this service, and it would aid in providing public transit access to lower income neighborhoods in Columbia. At the Korean American Senior Association, Senator Guy Gazone shared with the audience that the state planned on pledging $500,000 for an Asian Cultural Community Center. While this is a generous award, it is not enough to support a new capital project, and I hope you will consider locating such a center in an existing governmental asset so we can save money. Infrastructure improvements, the following requests have been received from constituents or village boards. Crosswalk improvements from Hobbit's Glen to Cedar Lane Park across Harper's Farm Road. Sidewalk repairs on Gloucester Road and Wooden Hawk Circle. Sidewalk installations on Harding Road in Laurel. Retrofitting the Gateway Building to reduce bird strikes. On Route 108 and 10 Oaks Road, intersection improvements with increased county funding similar to the Route 108 Beaverbrook project. And for your convenience, I'm also including here some requests that I received from constituents and village boards during the solicitation of public feedback from the American Rescue Plan funds. If these requests don't qualify for ARP, please consider including these requests in the FY 2024 budget. Increase multimodal safety and access on both sides of Cedar Lane. Repave the roads that have been impacted by water main construction projects and repair potholes. Improve street drainage. Provide funds to rehabilitate Faulkner Ridge Elementary School to serve expanded schooling requirements of Kerwin and to remove the derelict building from causing blight in the neighborhood. Continue to fund deferred school maintenance projects. Help fund the renovation of the Rose Price House next door to the Howard County Center of African American Culture. The building is owned by Columbia Association and could be used to expand educational and community events in conjunction with events at the Howard County Center of African American Culture. Help fund the completion of the Community College Institute's Community Engagement Barn, and create a permanent program for assistance, emergency rent assistance. Finally, the constituents who reside on either side of Route 32 suffer from excessive noise, both from the constant airplane flights moving along the highway in the sky, and now from the 4-lane highway that is on the ground. There has been a significant increase in traffic since its completion last spring, and I would just ask that you please do whatever you can to try and get a noise barrier wall from Route 29 to Route 108 on both sides of Route 32 to help deal with at least some of the noise that we are feeling in this area, both from the planes and the highways. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and attention. Sorry that I went over, but as you can see, I have a long list. So hopefully at least some of it will end up in the budget.
Thank you, Council Member Young. We have over 50 people signed up for tonight. So I know everyone feels very strongly about very important issues. I would ask that everyone try as hard as you can to keep within your time or less. And feel free to also email us if there's more level of detail that you think that we need to know. Thank you.
For those who are curious, the email to send testimony is budgettestimony@howardcountymd.gov. Next up, we have Lori Lilly, followed by Tonya Akins.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, Dr. Ball, on your reelection to County Executive. We're looking forward to working with you again in the coming years to support our community. My name is Lori Lilly, and I'm the Executive Director of Howard EcoWorks. EcoWorks engages and educates the community about environmental sustainability and restoration while creating pathways to green jobs through our workforce development programs. I founded and launched EcoWorks in July of 2017. Over the past 5 years, we have grown tremendously, offering a diversity of programming and services while also diversifying and growing revenue to support overall organizational sustainability. The pandemic, as difficult as it was in so many ways, was a catalyst for our social enterprise business model that will provide long-term benefits to the health of our organization. The partnership with Howard County government predates EcoWorks back to 2012 with an initial commitment from the county to the READY program, Restoring the Environment and Developing Youth, through a $500,000 per year grant to the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay to administer the program. This initial investment was for a summer-only program for young adults aged 16 to 25 to install rain gardens around the county with the goal of building creditable MS4 projects while also educating the community and generating public support for the stormwater utility fee through a green jobs type model. This initial model has blossomed and been cultivated into multifaceted year-round programming and service provision for the county government and community. For example, we work at the forefront of innovation with the Seeds of Change program at the Corrections Department, where in 2022, inmate labor at our on-site native plant nursery supported 30 prisoner days avoided in the jail. Seeds of Change is a low-cost, high return on investment program that demonstrates how we are able to effectively leverage limited resources to positively impact individuals and the county government itself. Our project work has broadened beyond just rain gardens to include much more focus on tree planting, which is a more cost-effective stormwater management solution that offers additional co-benefits such as cooling, supporting pollinators, and sequestering carbon. We have also broadened our work to include various types of maintenance, inclusive of both our own projects and county projects, natural infrastructure assets, namely our forests, and stormwater drainage infrastructure management, such as the work that we perform for the county's Safe and Sound plan. In fact, there was a Safe and Sound event called late last week, the 14th event since the program started. We have successfully implemented our responsibilities in every one of those 14 weather events. Even though each event requires us to drop what we are doing at the moment and respond within 3 days, we consider it an honor to support the county and community in such an important way. Central to all we do is the community. On a daily basis, we are in neighborhoods, on church property, on the streets, and in the streams. We educate our teams, the neighbors, our clients, the public. For the past 2 years, we have focused resources and investments into urban underserved areas with our tree planting. We planted 300 trees in these areas just this past fall. It's critical that we bring resources to these areas that are the most vulnerable to the threats of climate change. Going forward, we see EcoWorks as being a vital partner to implement the county's climate action plan through the construction and maintenance of nature-based solutions in underserved communities with our green jobs programs. We will recruit for our workforce in these same communities so that we can generate economies of scale that benefit individuals, communities, and our environment. We think that we are one of your best allies and partners with our proven ability to respond to the hazards and emergencies associated with weather events while also leading in mitigation of the climate emergency. We are requesting that our budget for FY24 be supported at the original $500,000 allocation that was awarded in 2012. We have demonstrated our effectiveness, impact, and return on investment over the past 10 years, and especially the past 5 years through EcoWorks' innovative programming. We ask for your support as we, like many others, struggle with the labor market and demand for ever-increasing wages, while we continue to provide the best service that we can to Howard County government and our community. Thank you for your consideration of our request, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you for your partnership, your testimony, and not going over time.
Next up, we have Tonya Akins, followed by Antonia Watts.
Hello, good evening, County Executive Ball,
Mr. Robbins, Ms. Cabellon, and Dr. Sun. I am Tonya Akins, President and CEO of Howard County Library System and a resident of Columbia. Thank you so much for your longtime support and for the opportunity to testify on behalf of Howard County's residents who value the lifelong education provided by our library. As we look forward, we continue to address the disparities laid bare over the last 3 years as a result of the COVID pandemic, and as outlined in our recent Inequity Within report. This report, funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services and the Maryland State Library Agency, provides an overview of racial equity across education, healthcare, housing, economic, and legal systems within Howard County. As one of the wealthiest, healthiest, and most diverse communities in the state and the U.S., the perception or belief that racial inequity does not exist here can be a hindrance to advancing issues of equity within the county. This report demonstrates that even in a county where the majority of residents appear to be thriving, there are communities and subgroups that do not fully reap the benefits of residing here. The system indicators examined in this report showed non-Hispanic Black residents were anywhere from 1.5 to 11 times, and Hispanic residents were 1.5 to 7 times more likely to fare worse than non-Hispanic white residents. While Asian residents were more likely to have similar or better outcomes than non-Hispanic white residents across education and legal systems, they fared worse in housing, health, and economic outcomes. Why is the Howard County Library System doing this? At the library, our mission is to deliver high-quality public education for all. And in Howard County, we have a diverse community with a wide array of perspectives and experiences. By focusing on the data in this report and through our curriculum, we meet people where they are and give them the effective tools and processes to grow personally and professionally, increase understanding and relationships across differences, and demonstrate through policies, processes, and programs that all persons within our community are important, valued, and of worth. Our focus for FY24 remains rooted in the principles of asset-based community development with continuous assessment of our curriculum and development of an equity framework. This effort will incorporate reimagined services, shifts in customer interests, usage patterns and priorities, and other lessons learned as a result of the pandemic and review of local equity data. Our operating budget request includes an increase to provide COLA and merit increases for our dedicated team. Providing competitive salaries is critical to retaining and recruiting staff in our current environment. It would fund FICA and anticipated medical plan increases, fund anticipated publisher and vendor increases in materials and technology costs, as well as anticipated increases in the use of materials in all formats. Our goal continues to be to maintain the caliber of our collection, meet customer demands for new content formats, and lessen wait times for materials, especially time-bound requests related to student learning and school assignments. Fund curriculum supplies to adequately address the volume of needs of the students of all ages in the community who participate in our classes, especially with our enhanced focus on teens and our new STEAM machine. An increased focus on STEAM classes will enable us to meet the needs of a greater number of middle and high school students, both inside and outside of school hours. As always, we will operate optimally and be good stewards of the tax dollars entrusted to us and return the highest value to our community. On behalf of our community, I respectfully ask you to invest in our community and fully fund the HCLS Board of Trustees budget request. Thank you again for your time this evening.
Thank you for your partnership and your testimony.
Next up, we have Antonia Watts, followed by Freddie Striano.
Good evening, County Executive Ball. My name is Antonia Watts, and I am the chair of the Howard County Library System Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to testify about our capital budget needs. Just over 1 year ago, you helped us cut the ribbon on the renovated Glenwood branch. Since then, students have recorded themselves playing instruments for college scholarship applications in the sound booth. Children have spent hours creating in the Builder's Barn and exploring the interactive learning station. And people of all ages have used the tools in our makerspace to create items for their small businesses and organizations. The laser cutter engraver is one of the most popular tools. A group of local firefighters used it to create a congratulatory plaque for a retired colleague. An artist uses it to create artwork to sell in her Etsy shop. And others use it to create custom gifts, such as the original Howard County Library System keepsake ornament that we delivered to you earlier. Thank you for your support of this renovation, which continues to attract returning and new customers. The branch is busier than ever, full of people who spend hours feeding their hearts and minds, fueling their imagination. It is because the library's role as an educator, civic space, and connector that we come to you with a request for support of $1.67 million for the new downtown Columbia. Libraries are places where parents can bring their babies and start laying a foundation for their future academic. It is a place where I took my own two babies 2 to 3 times ago. From the youngest age children learn to associate reading with pleasurable experiences. As their parents and caregivers read to them, library instructors work with school systems educators to incorporate the 7 domains of library and learning. The result? Kindergarten teachers have said they can tell which students have attended library classes. And yet, the 2020-2021 Kindergarten Readiness Assessment shows fewer than 60% of Howard County students demonstrate overall readiness for kindergarten. And as noted in our Equity Within report, the percentages are lower for Black and Hispanic students. These disparities follow the student whether they are on track for 9th grade, their proficiency on high school state standards, assessments, and dropout rates. Education begins at birth, and the place that happens for many in our community is at the library. However, our current central branch only has 1 small classroom for the children's classes. Because of the high demand, we implemented a ticketing system for people wishing to get in. Let me tell you, this is intense. The library is the place to be. Even with multiple sessions of classes, we sometimes have to turn parents away. There are plenty of additional issues with the central branch, which I've included with my testimony. I just ask that the Howard County executive include $1.6 million so that we may begin resourcing schematic designs and planning for the new branch in the downtown Columbia. Thank you.
Next up, we have Freddie Striano, followed by Alice Harris. I believe Freddie Striano is not with us. Next up, we have Alice Harris, followed by Charlene Muhammad. Just a reminder for those giving testimony, please speak loudly in the mic so that our sign language interpreters can hear you. Alice Harris. Okay, next up we have Charlene Muhammad, followed by Colleen West.
This is Alice Harris. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, Charlene is not with us tonight. She did send me a message. She's in another related meeting. I'm going to go ahead and I will move through this and stay on time. So good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Dr. Ball, to you and your staff. My name is Alice Harris. I mentioned that. And I currently serve as the lead health equity fellow for the Horizon Foundation's Healthier Choices Coalition. Thank you for extending the invitation to present this evening on behalf of the Healthier Choices Coalition. Many of our members who serve families facing food insecurity and diabetes related to healthy risk factors daily. As a result of your funding actions this past year, and as your budget demonstrated as a result, to actually play a key role in helping us to launch the county's first mobile farmers market that we are so proud of. With your sustained support and our support and our coalition's work in partnering with local community organizations and county agencies, we are moving forward with our ambitious goal of launching a farmers market that will be up and running on the road in 2023 to enhance food accessibility throughout our most vulnerable communities. It is important to share with you as a resident of Howard County whose family has personally struggled with diabetes. I am incredibly proud to live in a county that ranks among the top 10 healthiest counties in the nation. It is because of the vital access to healthcare opportunities when needed that has helped my family to break through this debilitating disease cycle. Unfortunately, far too many family stories have not ended as well, and the question remains why. One answer is that we know that healthy food and drink options can be expensive and hard to come by for many of our residents throughout various communities. As such, the rates of diabetes and prediabetes have continued to rise among people of color, with the most significant impact occurring within our African American and Latino communities, who are more than twice as likely as other racial groups to be diagnosed with diabetes or become pre-diabetic. We must also recognize that diabetes is not just limited to the members of our adult and senior population. Even our youngest residents, as indicated through our health data reports from our local school system and early childhood community, highlight the fact that diabetes and health-related risk factors are often interwoven throughout generations and across all age levels. With support of the foundation staff and members of our coalition, we look forward to expanding our collaboration and our advocacy efforts by introducing new policies and legislation to help mitigate food insecurity and health risks related to diabetes, in addition to educating residents within the county on the benefits of a healthier food options that support our overall well-being of our families and our communities. In closing, Dr. Ball, I want to thank you for your leadership over the past 4 years and your continued support and leadership as our county executive as we enter into the new year. We look forward to working with you and your administration to develop and implement creative approaches to increase food quality and food access, resulting in a more equitable and healthier community for all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Colleen West, followed by Jack Garneri. Colleen?
Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm Colleen West, Executive Director of the Howard County Arts Council, located at 8510 High Ridge Road in Ellicott City. On behalf of the Arts Council and the arts groups we support, I want to thank Dr. Ball for all that you've done during your many years of public service. I'd also like to congratulate you on your re-election and look forward to doing even more during your second term. This past year, the Arts Council, like other public-facing organizations, had to draw on reserves of patience and ingenuity to provide safe opportunities for artists and visitors while navigating new COVID variants. Thanks to federal, state, and county relief efforts, we were able to provide 24,000 people with safe and engaging arts experiences at the Howard County Center for the Arts, which is 68% of our pre-COVID attendance. That said, the arts sector as a whole has been one of the hardest hit by the pandemic. Jobs lost at nonprofit arts organizations remain more than 3 times worse than the average of all nonprofits. 63% of artists experienced unemployment and lost creative income. They were and remain among the most severely affected segment of the workforce. And based on results of other disasters, the arts sector will be among the last to recover. Howard County pre-COVID was home to 760 arts-related businesses that employed 3,500 people. The county's arts sector includes for-profit design and photography businesses, tourist attractions such as a Meriwether Post Pavilion, and a vibrant network of 20 to 25 nonprofit arts groups. These nonprofits are the heart of the county's arts community and a primary focus of the Arts Council. Pre-COVID, they generated $4 million in revenues, had 121,000 attendees, and generated an additional $15.7 million in audience spending for a total economic impact of $20 million. While all of us in the arts are excited and optimistic about inviting audiences back to galleries, theaters, and concert halls, it will take time to get back to pre-pandemic attendance and income levels. As arts groups reopen, they face yet new COVID variants, hesitant audiences, and a steep decline in earned and contributed income. Their already fragile budgets are at great risk. The Arts Council, through our partnership with the county, is one of the only sources of unrestricted funds for day-to-day operations. This support is critical. Local arts groups like the Columbia Festival for the Arts, Hoco Polizzo, and Miseko Ballet rely on grants supported through our partnership to engage audiences and bring a wide range of traditional and contemporary art forms to our community. The arts bring us wonder and joy and have the power to unite, heal, and inspire. They bring us together, help break down social barriers, and provide us with a safe space for positive dialogue. They are a lifeline to many suffering from mental illness and depression. The arts are a critical component of the county's quality of life and to our own personal well-being. I look forward to working with you during your second term to ensure the arts emerge from the pandemic stronger and more creative than ever. Well, we are in the process of finalizing our FY24 budget request. For the current year, we received a community service partnership grant of $905,500. 70% of this funding supported operating and project grants to local arts organizations. Moving forward, more, not less investment is needed from business, government, and private sources if we are to reverse the negative effects of the pandemic on our arts community. I hope we can count on your continued support, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening.
Thank you so much for your partnership and your testimony.
Next up, we have Jack Garneri, followed by Bernard Gayebi Foster. Jack,
Yes.
you're on.
Okay. I'm Jack Guarneri. I'm the president of Bike Coco, the bicycling advocates for Howard County. We've been testifying to County Executive and Council over the past 14 years. This today and previous testimony I've heard from Community College, HCLS, school system, DPW asked for significant funding to improve, expand, or add to existing facilities. In 2008, when I first testified to a county council, Dr. Ball was a member of, there was essentially no bicycling infrastructure on county roads and no plans to develop one. Since then, we have 80 miles of bike lanes on county roads and 110 miles of shared use pathways, a bicycle master plan, a complete streets policy, and a new complete streets design manual. Much of the recent progress has been due to your support and funding commitments. There are several points relating to the budget I wanted to discuss. The Office of Transportation fiscal year 24 capital budget has a $1 million addition to K5066, which is Bike Howard Express, which is our near-term implementation of the Bike Master Plan. In addition to that, it has a total of $4.27 million for bicycle and shared pathway projects and $7.35 million for overall bike and pedestrian projects, including bike lanes, sidewalks, curb ramps, and other projects to implement the bicycle and pedestrian master plans. This will mark the fourth year in a row that funding has increased significantly for alternative transportation projects, and we strongly support full funding for all bicycling and pedestrian accessibility projects in order to maintain the momentum we've achieved. This is a relatively small percentage of the fiscal year 2024 capital budget, but it will provide a high return on investment in both quality of life and traffic mitigation. A new complete streets design manual was approved by County Council in February. In order to minimize the need for retro and backfitting roads in future budgets, a rewrite of the Howard County land use regulations is essential for future development and redevelopment projects and to ensure compliance with complete streets policy and the complete streets design manual. It was originally supposed to be started this fall and it's been delayed till next year, but it has to proceed. In addition, Bike Coco recognizes that as we near the completion of Bike Howard Express and near-term bicycling facility projects, we need to look forward to what projects and what areas of the county need to be addressed in the next phase. Data for Bike Howard was frozen in 2014, and many of the bike infrastructure improvements are segments of bike lanes and need to be connected to make a true bicycling network that connects people and places. To borrow a term from another project, there's a missing middle that must be identified and prioritized in order for us to proceed to create this network. Adequate funding needs to be provided to the Office of Transportation to enable an update to the Bike Howard Master Plan and begin planning for future bicycling projects in light of population growth, changing traffic patterns, and much more community support for bike and pedestrian accessibility since we started this project in 2008. The new Complete Streets Design Manual was approved, and the new design manual will allow us to provide the documentation to move forward with multimodal transportation improvements for all the residents of the county. Finally, I want to provide support for funding for DPW highways for road paving and maintenance projects that are critical to many bicycle infrastructure improvements. DPW, based on our advocacy and recommendations over the last 2 budget cycles, investigated microsurfacing roads in Howard County that have been patched. That allows for that extends the life expectancy of road repairs, allows for restriping in addition to bike lanes, and provides a smoother surface for all users. They identified 6 roads this year and contracted to have them microsurface. This treatment has been used by SHA and by other counties and provides a cost-effective way of deferring paving while preventing pavement failure, deterioration, and allows roads to be used for many more years before paving is essential. Finally, I'd like to again thank you for your effort and partnership in achieving what we have to date. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and we've made a lot of progress together.
Next up, we have Bernard Gaebi Foster, followed by Brooke Walton.
Good
Bernard?
evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I'm sorry, but my other partner will be presenting, Chris Maynard. He's also online.
He'll be presenting in your place?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what'd you say his last name was?
Maynard, Maynard. Sorry for the delay.
No problem. We're just looking for him. Chris, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Fabulous, thank you. Appreciate the councilman, members of this group, and the health department for allowing me to speak. I am a Howard County resident and also an employee of the Turk House. Tonight I wanted to introduce a project. Again, some of the names of the folks and the organizations before are pretty familiar to all of us who live in the county, but perhaps the Turk House isn't, so I'd like to take a brief moment to introduce who we are and what we currently do in the county and what we're proposing. You just heard from our executive director, Bernard Gaebi Foster, who's not a stranger to Howard County. The Howard House, which is at Columbia Road and 108, has been serving men in recovery for almost a decade. Myra Diaz, our director of operations, is also a known entity here in the county through the health department. She's also on this call. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them. Councilman Ball has been to this house and has met both of these individuals, and between the partnership with Grassroots, Shepherd Pratt, and other nonprofits that help those seeking recovery, we're hoping to be a stronger cog in the wheel here in Howard County. Why we are here tonight is that we just purchased a home at 12752 Skaggsville Road here in Highland, Maryland. Actually, I'm an Ellicott City resident, but not far from me. We are looking to make that house state-of-the-art, much like our Howard House is. And we've had our construction management team, architect, and other professionals give us their pricing and estimates to get that house up to speed to serve those who need recovery from substance abuse, that includes alcohol, drug, and behavioral health in a residential setting, and that would be a $2 million capital expenditure. Let me tell you why that makes sense. The Howard House has the highest rate of success for those folks we serve. We have houses in Baltimore. We have a detoxification and stabilization center, much like Grassroots. We're actually partners with them on this effort down in Baltimore, and we have women and men's halfway houses. The Howard House abuts beautiful Centennial Lake, and I'll tell you that its beds are always full. And last year and the year before, there were 67 lives lost from drug and alcohol treatment. We had 16 folks in beds. Imagine if this house was open and we would have had 16 more in beds. I can't answer that yes or no, all those lives would have been saved, but it sure as heck seems like it's something worth doing to possibly make that number go down, because we have open beds to make sure these folks can seek the comprehensive treatment that they need. We have peer counselors on site. We have nurses on site. We have professionals on site all the time. Again, our track record at the Howard House has been one that we're very proud of because of the partnerships here in Howard County. And this one-time seed and infusion of money to make this house state-of-the-art, we think will have a ripple effect for decades to come to really, really help Howard County battle the substance abuse. It's not even a pandemic. It's something that's gone through COVID, and it will go on, unfortunately, until we can provide as many services as possible. So again, we would respectfully ask to be considered for $2 million for capital monies. And if there's any questions, I can provide my information in the chat. Again, I know the Turk House isn't as known as perhaps some of these other organizations, but we're happy to answer any questions, and we appreciate your time. And I'd actually like to yield 1.18 seconds back to you. 1 minute and 16 seconds back to you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Brooke Walton, followed by Bertina Suber-Hanley. Looks like Brooke is not with us. Next up, we have Bertina Suber-Hanley. Okay, next up we have Bill McCormack.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to submit budget testimony once again to you. My name is Bill McCormack, Jr. I am the Vice Chairman of the Okemos Community Association, and submitting this testimony on behalf of the Okemos Board of Directors. Schools and education, deferred school maintenance. Each year we continue to testify in support of timely funding of deferred maintenance projects for Oakland Mills Middle and Oakland Mills High Schools. This year we are asking you to include funding of long overdue deferred renovations of OMMS and OMHS in fiscal years 2024 and 2026 respectively. Over $100 million in deferrals equates to health and safety repairs, including replacing an HVAC system that the school system concluded could no longer support an environment conducive to learning. The request to provide timely funding for deferred maintenance projects ensures that all schools meet the same health and safety standards and provide modern amenities to students, regardless of their backgrounds. Next item, safe and comprehensive complete street project for entire length of Stevens Forest Road. The severity of this is sadly highlighted by the preventable traffic crash at the intersection of Stevens Forest Road and Kilimanjaro Road. A car hit a middle school student in the crosswalk as the student rode their bike to school, and recently a crash directly in front of Stevens Forest Elementary School at dismissal time. We have had several productive meetings with county officials who understands the issues of concern. On behalf of the community, we would like to ask, once again, for a comprehensive study of Stevens Forest Road, including and from the roundabout at Stevens Forest Road and Farewell Road to the intersection of Stevens Forest Road and White Acre Road. Tree removal and timely replacement. Dead, dying trees that pose a safety risk must be removed. Without prior knowledge, this past summer, 13 large trees were removed from the Robert Oliver Place entrance into the Oakland Mills Village Center. This entrance to the Village Center is now barren with the canopy of trees gone. We understand the difficult budget decision that the county must make across all departments. At the same time, we support funding for public works for the staffing and equipment necessary for a timely and comprehensive tree removal and replacement program. Routine roadway median maintenance. The only type of maintenance the medians get in Oakland Mills is through a mowing agreement with Columbia Association during the spring and summer months. There is no maintenance to the medians at any other time. Once again, we ask the county to follow the lead of other jurisdictions and fund a leaf vacuum removal process and begin with a pilot in Oakland Mills. Locally, Montgomery County, University Park, and the Village of Rockville have such programs. Blandair Park. Oakland Mills supports the park and provides the county accessory playing fields and parking for Blandair events. We are asking the county to help support the Oakland Mills Village merchants in the same spirit that our community supports the large-scale events that draw thousands to Blandair. Investing economic development funds by providing directional signs promoting the Oakland Mills merchants would provide a simple and unique opportunity for the county to work with Oakland Mills merchants and promote our village shops and restaurants. Orchard Green Path extension along Route 108. The Oakland Mills Village Board of Directors supports extending a path from the Orchard Green tot lot to the Red Branch Road light at Maryland 108, providing safe and legal pedestrian and bicycle access to Red Branch Road businesses. However, we need a small budget and commitments from the state, Howard County, and the Columbia Association to make this connection. This solution involves three parties: MDOT for the pedestrian side crosswalk, Howard County for the shared use pathway, and the Columbia Association for the Orchard Green tot lot path extension. We're requesting the county's help to facilitate a budget for the shared use pathway and gain commitments for this much needed complete street solution. Thank you for providing the opportunity to submit testimony, and thank you and your team for making our county such a great and happy place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thanks so much, neighbor, for your testimony. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have Annalise Daly, followed by Annabelle Bevan. Annalise? Okay. We are. Annalise?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. I'm so sorry. Well, hello. My name is Annalise Daly. I'm a resident of Howard County. Before I begin, I want to sincerely thank County Executive Ball for his and the County Council's historic funding of bicycle and walking infrastructure here in Howard County. In the last 3 years, in the last 4,000 plus miles that my family has ridden our bikes, we've started spotting concrete evidence of the council's commitment and all over the county. We've been seeing new bike lanes, crosswalks, curb cuts, and bridges that are slowly knitting together a safer and more cohesive network for people walking, bicycling, and moving in wheelchairs. Thank you so much. If this continues, there is a chance that my children will be able to bike or transportation on their own when they are teenagers. And if not them, then the generations after them. To that end, I urge County Executive Ball to please remain committed to our common vision of safe, complete streets by maintaining the funding outlined in the 2024 fiscal year budget. I am strongly in support of the projects identified by the Office of Transportation to build more protected bike lanes, shared use pathways, sidewalks, and crosswalks, especially in the areas along Route 1, Laurel, Jessup, Ellicott City, and other areas of need. Though my family has one shared car as a backup, we use our bicycles as our primary form of transportation. One main reason is financial. In 2022, the American Auto Association found that the total cost for households to own and operate a vehicle is a whopping $894 per month, and that's per vehicle. By comparison, I use an electric assist cargo bike as a car replacement, and my family only has to put aside about $50 per month for its routine maintenance and future battery replacement. Not relying on a second or third car literally saves my family hundreds of dollars per month. That's a lot of money in our world and even more for struggling families. When the county council prioritizes complete streets, you are investing in affordable transportation. As the network becomes more complete over time, it will someday offer the choice of safe, affordable transportation to everyone in Howard County, no matter who they are, what their income is, or where they live. The county's bottom line can also benefit from implementing complete streets. Howard County Public Schools pay outside contractors $68,000 per school bus per year. Our school system also buses children who actually live within walking distance of their schools. The reason is the walking route is considered too dangerous. Fixing those specific hazards in a dedicated county council school board collaboration will eliminate the annual need for unnecessary busing, thereby freeing up money to be better allocated elsewhere and helping alleviate the ongoing bus driver shortage. Savings from hazard busing aside, projects that specifically enable safe routes to schools, whether by walking, biking, or rolling, are eligible for grants from the state of Maryland and other sources to defray the construction costs, if only we'll apply for them. I am immensely grateful for the work the County Council and the County Executive have already done and the support you have already shown for complete streets. I respectfully request that you continue to prioritize safe, equitable, and affordable transportation for all by maintaining the funding outlined in the fiscal year 2024 budget and completing projects already funded in past years. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Annabelle Bevan, and we'll go back to Brooke Walton. Annabelle? Okay, we'll go up to Brooke Walton. Okay, next up we have Chiara D'Amore. Chiara? We can hear you. Just speak up in the mic.
Good evening, Dr. Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins, and community leaders. My name is Dr. Chiara D'Amore. I live in Columbia, and I am the founder and executive director of the Community Ecology Institute. CEI is a Howard County-based nonprofit organization with a mission to cultivate communities where people and nature thrive together. Our work uniquely focuses on tangible, community-level change at the intersections of environment, education, equity, and health. With great support from the county and the community, in 2019, CEI was able to purchase the last working farm in Columbia to protect it from housing development and transform it into an accessible, experiential education center where people can learn from hands-on experience about how they can lead happier, healthier, more connected, and sustainable lives. Without any indoor amenities and with the profound challenges of COVID over the past 3.5 years, CEI has made tremendous progress in transforming this property into a unique and vibrant place of common ground for diverse members of our community. I'm delighted to share a few highlights from 2022. This year, we engaged more than 2,400 distinct people of all ages and backgrounds in robust experiential education, both on and off Freetown Farm, through our 4 core educational programs, volunteer initiatives, and provision of thousands of plants and pounds of food for the community. These wonderful impacts were, in part, made possible by our meaningful partnerships with numerous other community organizations, including the Howard County branch of the NAACP, HopeWorks, Columbia Community Care, Upcycled, the Third, EcoWorks, the Howard County Public School System, and the Howard County Public Library System. This fall, we celebrated the 1-year anniversary of our Nourishing Gardens program. The program teaches community members how to transform lawns into ecologically beneficial food-growing gardens that nourish our families, the community, and the environment. The program brings the benefits, learning, and experience of Freetown Farm directly to the front doors of our neighbors. This year, more than 20 trainees participated in the Nourishing Gardens program, and together we installed 23 gardens, mostly in public spaces throughout Howard County, providing access to growing space to more than 50,000 community members who might not otherwise have had land to grow on. More than 500 community members were directly involved in the planning, installing, and caring for Nourishing Gardens this year. And 5 of our Nourishing Gardens trainees now earn an income from CEI, fulfilling our goal to provide flexible and meaningful green jobs in our community. In the summer, we began construction on the renovation of the barn at Freetown Farm into our Community Engagement Center. In keeping with Howard County's nationally recognized leadership on green infrastructure, we have utilized best practices in sustainable construction in every aspect of this project. Once the project is finished in January, and our projected move-in date is the 11th, the building is expected to use 66% less energy and 30% less water than a comparable code building. We are so excited to be able to welcome the community into this space and know that having an accessible, beautiful building from which to run our organization and programming will be transformative for CEI. And this is a very special week. With tremendous support from the county and state, today CEI became the proud new owner of the Green Pharmacy Garden. This 6-acre plant and seed sanctuary in Fulton was the home of world-renowned ethnobotanist Dr. Jim Duke for many years and is an ecological and educational treasure. When it was put on the market at the beginning of this year, CEI received an outpouring of inquiries from the community about whether we could do a Freetown Farm to purchase and protect this land. This uniquely curated property is now under our stewardship, doubling our land holdings in Howard County and allowing us to strategically expand our innovative experiential education offerings to the community. Tomorrow, around 9:30 in the morning, NBC will re-air the Today Show segment about CEI that they filmed this summer, which they described as one of their most uplifting and positive stories of the year. This time around, they'll also reveal our stewardship of the new gardens. The support that the county has provided to CEI since we purchased Freetown Farm has been foundational to our growth and success. At the time we purchased the farm, we had no staff on payroll, and our programs were reaching a fraction of the number of community members we now serve. Now we have a team of 11 part-time staff and several full-time staff, and a wonderful community of community educators. It's going to take all of us, and more, to step into the opportunities that 2023 will bring. Continued support from the county will help CEI to sustain and secure the staffing needed to maximize the benefit of Freetown Farm and the Green Pharmacy Garden for the community, and to have an operating budget that can expand to cover the baseline $100,000 that will be required to maintain the new property next year. The place-based work that CEI is doing has the power to help transform communities, restoring the environment, bringing people together with a sense of hope and purpose for the future, nurturing health, and building resilience. This work is more important than ever given the challenges and disparities that have been highlighted by COVID-19. On behalf of CEI, I respectfully request that the county continues to robustly support our organization in the forthcoming budget. CEI's work in the community is unique and in direct alignment with the county's priorities of having thriving and healthy residents and a clean and sustainable environment. We are very proud of and grateful for our collaboration with the county to date. Thank you so much for your support and happy holidays.
Thank you very much for your partnership and your testimony.
Next up, we have Herman DeLang, followed by DePaul Nibbler. Herman is not with us, so we'll move on to DePaul Nibbler. Nibber, sorry. DePaul?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, great. Good evening, County Executive Ball and members of the administration. My name is DePaul Nibber, testifying on behalf of the Horizon Foundation, Howard County's community health foundation and the largest independent health in the state of Maryland. First off, congratulations on your reelection, Dr. Ball. We're so thankful for the leadership that you and your administration have shown, given the many challenges of the last few years. Howard County has become a national model for strong and resilient community health. Still, much work remains. We urge you to prioritize funding addressing longstanding health inequities that have prevented many residents, particularly those from communities of color, from achieving good health. Keeping this in mind, we ask that you prioritize 4 budget items: the county's maternity partnership program, complete streets, community mental health services, and finally, chronic disease and food security programs and services. First, please ensure sustainable funding for the maternity partnership program. Howard County's longtime lack of prenatal and maternity care for pregnant women has disproportionately harmed uninsured immigrants and women of color. Far too often, these women do not get the maternity care they need until very late in their pregnancy, and sometimes not at all. We thank you for last year's $1.3 million investment to form the county's maternity partnership program, which will fund important prenatal and postpartum care for uninsured and underinsured mothers in our community. However, this funding will only cover the program through July of 2023. Moreover, though the state has passed the Healthy Babies Equity Act to support uninsured pregnant mothers, an official start date for that program is yet to be established. Given that county and state funding is uncertain, community partners cannot move forward with program implementation. Together with our partners, we urge you to include an additional $1.3 million in the FY 2024 budget to help fulfill our collective promise to Howard County's new mothers and their families. Please make this funding a standing part of Howard County's budget moving forward. Second, we ask for your continued support for Complete Streets, maintaining your historic investment. We thank you for increasing funding for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure projects to historic levels. This funding has made it easier and safer for residents to walk, bike, use their wheelchair, and use public transportation. The county still needs more protected bike lanes, shared use pathways, sidewalks, and crosswalks, especially in areas along Route 1, Laurel, Jessup, Ellicott City, and other areas in need, projects we enthusiastically support. While continuing to identify new projects, we urge you to prioritize implementing and completing projects that have been identified and funded in previous budget cycles. Third, please continue to invest in community mental health services. We thank you for partnering with the Horizon Foundation and Caleb Foundation last year to expand school-based enhanced mental health supports, including one-on-one student counseling services to all schools by the end of next school year. We look forward to working with you and the Board of Education to expand these services to reduce barriers, ensuring all students in Howard County who need help can receive the services they need. Finally, we ask for your continued support to fight chronic disease and food insecurity in the community. Chronic diseases like diabetes and prediabetes are on the rise and disproportionately harming communities of color. Moreover, far too many families do not have access to healthy, affordable food and drink options, better enabling them to make healthy choices and improve their health. We thank you for your $500,000 commitment to launch a new mobile farmers market in partnership with the Roving Radish. This mobile market will visit underserved areas of the county to provide healthier, fresher, and more sustainable and local produce. We urge you to continue funding this mobile market and associated outreach so it can launch on time, along with other policy initiatives to help fight diabetes and enable our residents to make better personal health choices. Investing in our public health will help all of our residents live long, healthy, and vibrant lives. We look forward to our continued work together to build a healthier, safer, more connected, more equitable community. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mary Beth Walker, followed by Jeremy Donald.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you, Dr. Ball, and all the panel. Thanks for sharing your evening with us. My family is here with me, and my kids are getting quite interested in everything that's going on. I'm here tonight. I'm honored to be speaking in support of the Howard County Library System and their fantastic programs. My family, we just love the library so much in general in so many ways. We live out in western Howard County, and I've been a resident of the county for about 12 years now. My youngest is almost 8, and we've been going to the library since they could walk. It's been a wonderful opportunity for them to socialize, and as a mom, to get out of the house and back in the community with a growing family. Their programs have been fantastic and grown well with the kids. My daughter had asked last week if they're going to do another program. Do the same programs again that they did this summer for water experiment. I often flip and call the librarians their teachers, because they have taught our kids so much in so many different ways. From how to get along with kids, different seasons, all sorts of subjects with the school. They've had great partnerships with our elementary school. I'm a mom of multiples. The library's been there for us to use resources personally and also for our organization to get together. I also need to share how well the kids love their books and programs. The kids, they outgrow the books like shoes. He's growing, enjoying all the resources and the programs. The librarians and all the staff keep us well with us. Whatever their interest, I can always find resources at the library. They've always been there for us. We've enjoyed the makerspace and the builder barns. They've started all of our kids and all of the kids in my extended family as lifelong learners. It's been wonderful to go there to study, for work, to be able to read in peace and quiet. I can't say enough with how much we love the library and how wonderful it is. They've been an oasis for us, for families, and for our community. We hope they keep doing what they're doing. They've had wonderful plans and to keep growing in wonderful ways and supporting us. We're so thankful for them. We appreciate your time, your attention, and your support. Thank you so much, and happy holidays.
Thank you for your testimony and happy holidays.
Next up, we have Jeremy Damu, followed by Edwin Gold.
Good evening, Dr. Ball. Happy holidays to you and your team. Congratulations on your reelection, and thank you for the opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Jeremy Damu. I'm a resident in Hickory Ridge in Columbia and a board member of the Hickory Ridge Village Board. I'm testifying tonight on behalf of the Hickory Ridge Community Association. One of the most fulfilling aspects of volunteering to serve on my village board is when there are issues in which there is unanimous agreement amongst our community, and our village board can confidently work together advocating for a cause that we all believe in that would greatly enhance the quality of life of residents in our village. And that is what I am here to do tonight as I testify before you in support of including funding in the capital budget for bike and pedestrian infrastructure projects within Hickory Ridge. In 2020, the Howard County Office of Transportation completed a Hickory Ridge bike corridor study that identified new bike lanes and shared use pathways that can be added to Hickory Ridge that would provide safe connections from Hickory Ridge to downtown Columbia and the rest of the Columbia Association pathway system. None of the projects that have been identified in this study have been constructed yet. But if completed, they would not only enhance connections for residents of Hickory Ridge, but it would enable cyclists and pedestrians in areas to the north, south, and west of Hickory Ridge to connect through our village to get to key destination points in downtown Columbia and elsewhere. In response to the county's bike study, the Hickory Ridge Village Board provided feedback in March 2021 and several times subsequently, requesting that several smaller projects within this plan be prioritized first. By sequencing the projects in the Hickory Ridge Bike Plan per our recommendation, a low-cost, short-term solution can be implemented in the near term that utilizes existing low-traffic residential streets and existing CA pathways to create a safe and direct connection that does not currently exist. This improvement would provide an immediate benefit that would create a missing connection that allows cyclists and pedestrians to safely and more directly connect to the mall, the lakefront, Symphony Woods, and Merriweather District, allowing biking and walking to be a much more viable mode of transport to go shopping, to go out to eat at a restaurant, take in a concert, attend fireworks concerts, or other programming at the lakefront. Specifically, we are asking that Hickory Ridge Road between Martin Road and Broken Land Parkway, including the intersection of Hickory Ridge Road and Broken Land Parkway, be prioritized. This short segment is a key connection point that nearly all cyclists and pedestrians must pass through in order to cross Broken Land Parkway to connect to downtown Columbia destinations. The preferred option in the Hickory Ridge Bike Plan, option C, would add a new crosswalk over Hickory Ridge Road, reconfigure the right turn lane on Broken Land Parkway to promote visibility and prevent dangerous jaywalking that currently occurs. It would also add a short pathway from Broken Land Parkway and Hickory Ridge intersection to an existing CA pathway approximately 100 feet away, thus creating a new connection to downtown Columbia through the low-traffic Sebring neighborhood that could be utilized immediately. Further, the intersection improvement would be needed in the future if and when a multi-youth path on Hickory Ridge Road is constructed as part of the rest of the Hickory Ridge Bike Corridor Plan. The Hickory Ridge Village Board has been working closely with the Office of Transportation, DPW, and we greatly appreciate the coordination from your office and appreciate the commitment that Howard County has shown towards adding important bike infrastructure in our county to make it an enjoyable means of transportation and serve as an alternative to car. We recently learned that the capital budget may have funding in place for this key project in Hickory Ridge. Please ensure that funding for this project remain in the capital budget. These pedestrian and biking connections will allow Hickory Ridge residents and many other cyclists and pedestrians passing through our village to connect to downtown Columbia neighborhoods. As a new walkable urban core is being created in downtown Columbia, we must ensure that existing nearby neighborhoods can take advantage of and enjoy this new walkability by having our own means of accessing downtown Columbia without a car. Connections like this will go a long way to ensuring this happens. The Hickory Ridge Community Association sent a letter to the council on October 12th that summarizes this testimony and the recommendations I spoke to today. Please take a look at our letter, consider our request, and include funding for the Hickory Ridge Bike Corridor project in the capital budget. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Edwin Gold. Edwin is not with us. Next up, we have Helen Lowe Metzman. Helen is not with us. Next up, we have Sharon Boye.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm here tonight to ask you to consider true stormwater management reform for our county. I'm asking you to please fund a Green Streets program. Perhaps you could consider a pilot program in Longfellow, Columbia, when our streets are already open, when they replace our water main infrastructure. As I look around the county, I see we're replacing street curbs and roads in many locations, but we're not always using newer techniques to mitigate the stormwater runoff from these hardened surfaces. It feels like we're missing out on so many great opportunities. I heard at a HOCO by Design meeting that our county is planning on spending $168 million for 200 stormwater projects by 2029. It seemed with a primary focus on stream restorations. I asked for clarification and didn't really get any. I am asking you to redirect the majority of funding for stream restorations to out-of-stream techniques that capture and mitigate the runoff where it's occurring, with techniques such as bioretentions, rain gardens, native plantings, conversion to permeable pavement, and bayscaping. I recognize and truly appreciate how many trees the county has planted in recent years, but trees that are 1 or 2 inch caliper trees in no way make up for the trees that we're losing. They don't provide the same eco services as a mature, healthy tree and won't for many decades. We need much stronger protections for our remaining fragments of forest. I'm asking for a stream and forest protection division to be formed out of existing public works employees that would remove invasive species and vines and trash. They would plant native species, perform small in-stream repairs of individual stream banks as needed, and install smaller projects around the county, and also help to educate the residents on the need to slow the stormwater runoff by installing rain gardens, basecaping, permeable pavers, and other green techniques. Finally, I'm asking you to please hire or appoint a liaison between the county and the Columbia Association to help plan and apply for funding for these projects on a large scale. It isn't fair that Columbia residents are losing our mature protected forests through stream restorations because the county isn't addressing the runoff in the street right-of-ways or supplying more funding for green upland techniques that work. After the loss of our mature neighborhood forest 2 years ago due to a stream restoration that was supposed to reduce the silt and sediment in Wild Lake, it was devastating to learn that CA has to dredge Wild Lake next year. We'll have a new forward-thinking governor, and I hope 2024 will be an even more forward-thinking year for Howard County as well. Thank you for your immediate consideration and for greater protections for our environment. Also, please fully support Howard Echo Works and CEI. They're awesome. And I'm wishing you a happy holiday season and a healthy and happy new year. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Happy holiday season, and thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Zaneta Trent, followed by Brent Lovelace. Zaneta? Zaneta?
You hear me okay?
Now we can.
Okay, thank you. Dear Howard County Executive Board, County Council members, and county leadership, my name is Annette Trent, and I'm providing testimony in support of the Community Ecology Institute for robust inclusion in the county's operating budget. I began my relationship
Ms.
with
Zaneta?
CEI.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but there's an echo coming. So I would just recommend muting all your other devices.
Okay. Is that better, miss?
That's better.
Okay.
Okay, we'll restart your time. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Dear Howard County Executive Board, County Council members, and county leadership, my name is Zanetta Trent, and I am providing testimony in support of the Community Ecology Institute for robust inclusion in the county's operating budget. I began my relationship with CEI in the fall of 2021 when I became a member of the first cohort of their new Nourishing Gardens training program, which won the Changemaker Challenge Community Support Award that year. Just shy of coming out of a nationwide lockdown resulting from the pandemic, weekly meetings at Freetown Farm and being able to socialize in person as well as exposed to all types of plant life and art was very therapeutic. I was inspired by learning how to care for and nourish plants. I struggled with keeping house plants alive. So after learning about the importance of regenerative agriculture and the importance of establishing community gardens, I would say I had an awakening from a consciousness of neglecting my surroundings to now a level of consciousness that I have a duty to care for the land I live among. For the past year, I have cultivated a garden of my own, and it has made such a difference in my life and in my family's lives. My experience was so positive with CEI and this program. I became an active volunteer at Freetown Farm and was hired as a garden specialist in May of this year to help support both the Nourishing Gardens program and the work of growing plants and food at Freetown Farm.
My transition from program participant to CEI staff exemplifies one of the goals of the Nourishing Gardens program, which is to create new pathways to employment for people who want to help support the health of our community through access to healthy food and ecologically abundant space. Working at Freetown Farm gives me a sense of happiness and serenity. And being a part of growing food for people in need at the farm is so rewarding. And I'm grateful to be able to give back to society and what is needed the most, and that is neighborhood nourishment. CEI is truly fulfilling and accomplishing the mission of cultivating communities where people and nature thrive together. We are helping a diverse community of Howard County, including people struggling with homelessness and domestic violence, children who need access to fresh produce, and connecting people to nature by teaching gardening classes, installing gardens at local elementary, middle, and high schools, which teach the youth how to nourish the land. CEI is bridging gaps within our community by bringing people together to work side by side to grow a healthier, brighter future. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Brent Lovelace, followed by Jackie Yang.
My name's Brent Lovelace. I'm the legislative representative for the PTA Council of Howard County. Thank you for your past commitment to education for the 57,676 students in the Howard County Public School System. It is mandated for the county to fund education, yet there are areas of discretionary spending that are of interest to our PTA members and our delegates. Our OBRC representatives report it is too early to predict the exact funding that will occur this year, yet we are aware of Kerwin revenues and liabilities that are pending, as well as sunsetting of COVID funds, changes to the enrollment base, issues with transportation, labor negotiations, new legislation, and the potential for some one-time state revenues this year. We are aware of risks of overextending irreversible MOE funding on a per pupil basis, but also expect that per pupil inflationary adjustments can be implemented without the pretense of being the sole adjustment needed to fulfill our outstanding needs. On the capital side, recent spending affordability meetings have predicted significant enrollment increases fueled by the general plan recommendations, while sustaining current levels of overcrowding and backlog levels of maintenance. The financial assumptions to justify the plan do not include inflation, Kerwin requirements, or state matching factors, along with reductions to many APFO protections and a shocking declaration that one-time mitigation revenues have intentionally been undercharged by design. We urge you to revisit the one-time growth-related revenue streams prior to exercising further restraint of necessary education spending. PTA Council of Howard County members will be advocating across all levels of government to go beyond prioritization to reach the goal of sufficient funding for all county children. Thank you for your continued support through this process.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Jackie Ng, followed by Jean Silver Estendat. Jackie? Okay, next up we have Jean Silver Estendat. Jean? Okay, next.
Jackie just came on.
Okay, Jackie?
Second.
We can hear you.
Hi, sorry. County Executive Ball, Ms. Sun, Ms. Bellion, Mr. Robbins. It's my privilege this evening to offer testimony on behalf of the Housing Affordability Coalition's 130 plus member individuals and organizations. Our request as you kick off the FY 2024 budget season tonight is straightforward. We ask that you include an appropriation of at least $10 million for the Housing Opportunities Trust Fund in your budget proposal. We sincerely appreciate that you included in this year's budget $5 million as the initial investment in the newly approved trust fund. However, our research of successful trust funds suggests that fully actualizing and ensuring the long-term sustainability of a fund requires, at a minimum, an annual fund of 30. 2020 appropriation of $10 million, doubling the current year contribution, will be a major step toward reaching optimal funding levels. As you know, the demand for very low, and moderate income rental units and home ownership opportunities already are at an all-time high, and they continue to increase, as does the need for home renovation and repair and so many other facets of housing need facing these populations. As you consider this request, we ask that you include in your deliberations the response to the trust fund's forthcoming initial notice of funding availability, the NOFA. The coalition anticipates that the funding requested will far exceed the $5 million available. And looking to next year, we expect, given the opportunity to observe this first funding round, its priorities and process, applications and the dollars requested will increase significantly. Hence, the coalition's recommendation that at least $10 million be included in the FY 2024 budget. Without significant investment, the trust fund will only be able to nibble at the margins of decreasing the current housing crisis facing too many of our county's residents. We look forward to working with the administration on trust funding. I can't close without noting that the coalition and the broader housing community are waiting with great anticipation the issuance of the initial NOFA that will at long last launch the work and the promise of the Housing Opportunities Trust Fund. Thank you, Dr. Ball.
Thank you for your partnership and your testimony.
Next up, we'll go back to Jean Silver Istandat. Jean, are you with us? Okay, next up we have Eduardo Marin. This is just a reminder that when your name is called, you will get a push notification reminding you to unmute so that we can hear you. So if you have received that, please press it. Next up, we'll go to Catherine Valentine. Catherine? Catherine, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Catherine Valentine, and I'm a resident of Howard County for 30 years and counting.
Sorry. So dear Howard County Executive Ball.
Eduardo, we'll come right back to you.
Am I still on?
Catherine?
Or yes?
Yeah, Catherine, keep going.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Catherine Valentine. I am a resident of Howard County for 30 years and counting. First and foremost, I want to commend you, County Executive Dr. Ball, for the funding of Howard County Public School System. That is, in my humble opinion, second to none. However, I want to also express my concerns on the budget development for the upcoming fiscal year. I have over 30 years of accounting, of which 25 years and counting pertain to government financial reporting, including budgeting and forecasting. I currently hold a PMP, a Certified Government Financial Manager certificate, a Certified Fraud Examiner, and I'm also a candidate for the CPA sitting this January. I was appointed by the outgoing chair of Howard County Public School Board to serve on the Howard County Public School Board Operating Budget Review Committee, the OBRC. All of this to say, I have just a little experience. I wanted to provide some of my background in support of my testimony. In addition, I want to make this abundantly clear that I am testifying only as a resident of Howard County. My first concern is the lack of accountability and transparency of the funding that is allotted to Howard County Public Schools from Howard County. For instance, there are no meaningful performance measurement and/or strategic plan that are directed towards measurable outcomes. This leads to line item spending that may not be the key to outcome for the school system strategic plan. Their budget lacks transparency. For example, this year, an increase was slated for 26 positions for college and career readiness. My question is, and I'm urging Howard County government to ask, what is the outcome? What was the percentage of the goal met? What is the status? To simply put it, to hire 26 positions for college and career readiness, what does that mean? To produce what? Increase what? Execute what? What is the measurable goal? Which leads me to my second point. I urge you, Howard County Executive, to request during this budget development cycle, prior to increasing the already established $1 billion allotment to the school system, that is now the current maintenance of effort, in our language, MOE, is to ask for their accomplishments or performance indicators that were completed and met for both year 2022 and year-to-date 2023, based on the funding they have already received. The school system should be able to explain the line item variances of expenditures from year to year in each area, so a prudent person can easily and readily read a report to determine what, how, and the outcomes of allocated funds. For instance, it should be readily determined if there was enough money or too much money to meet line item performance indicators or goals, coupled with how it relates or tied to the school system strategic plan. Where did the school system fall short, or have they fallen short of funds? Quite frankly, this is the type of transparency is apparently required in order to ensure that Howard County Public Schools is in a position to even address the new blueprint that leads me to my final point. Some of the information that has been communicated in various public meetings and hearings, that this is a mandate for jurisdictions to increase school system funding in order to meet the blueprint, when quite frankly, the new blueprint mandates change, not an addition. Howard County Public Schools should demonstrate how they are changing using the current fund level to meet the mandate, instead of insisting on adding funding to an existing school system structure that is now outdated. Then, County Executive Dr. Ball, a discussion on moving forward is required only if they being Howard County Public School System, can justify what they are doing with the current $1 billion fund allotment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Now we'll go back to Eduardo Marin. Eduardo? Eduardo, have you?
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I was wondering like what was going. My bad. Okay. So, dear Howard County Executive Ball, County Council members, and County leadership. Hello, my name is Eduardo Marin, and since 5th grade, I've lived in Columbia, Maryland. A proud Oakland Mills grad and a current college student, I'm testifying in support of the Community Ecology Institute, the CEI, to be included strongly in the county's operating budget. I'm currently a recently elected board member, and I'm excited for what the future has in store. The space has grown incredibly in the last 3 years, and I'm excited for what the future has. and which all of you guys can be a part of. So more about my involvement at the farm. I've been there since my junior year in high school. Right now, I'm currently a sophomore in college. My long stay at the farm is because of what the CEI encapsulates. In addition to the food program, in addition to all the ecological services it provides, I think the mission statement is what speaks to it the most, which is cultivating communities where people and nature thrive together. Freetown Farm is a unique space where the community grows organically, and that's what I've really enjoyed over the years. For instance, I can attest back in my senior year when I was an intern as well as leading other volunteers, there are many times where I worked with new people and got to meet everyone across Howard County. And you could imagine that weeding or maybe doing some physical labor would most likely not be the best, or like you would not like enjoy it, but it's like really surprisingly because I really did. And I think it's like a shared feeling with a lot of people at the farm. It like starts connections and camaraderie between people that you would not imagine. Like I remember there was times talking about hometown experiences, for instance, like my experience here in Hyattsville and also in Columbia, and someone else's experience in Denver while mulching or learning more about martial arts while weeding. The CEI is a unique, one-of-a-kind collaborative space. It is a community of friends who also care for the environment. And one of the most telling examples, and like where this all coalesced, was this past summer when I was working there for my summer job. We were preparing for the big event, which was going live on air for NBC's Today Show. Then recording day came around. I remember the sheer amount of people. It seemed to be more than 70 from people. It seemed to be more than 70 from people of all different generations and backgrounds. People were dancing in the market garden, others talking by the fireplace, and kids playing and running around in the garden. The farm created a unique space where people connected and genuinely enjoyed spending time with one another. It was amazing seeing how many people the farm has touched and continues to touch over the years. Finally, a large reason for my stay is that the farm is an escape and refuge. There were many times when I was frustrated or simply in a bad mood. For instance, I might have done bad on a test. But there is something therapeutic about spending time outside, hearing the birds chirp, and getting to talk to one another. I know that this is not just an experience I've had, but that many others do at the farm. Overall, I believe that CEI is a one-of-a-kind organization, an exemplar of community building. It's a beautiful, open space where the environment and people meet as one. That is why I respectfully request that the county continues to support CEI in the 2023 operational budget. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you so much for your testimony, and we hope you have a great day too.
Next up, we have Areli Vallejos, followed by Sarah Hernandez. Areli, if you received a muted a request, please just click it. Okay, next up we have Sarah Hernandez. Next up we have Iris Rivera. Iris? Iris, are you on? We can see you, but we can't hear you. Okay, we will circle back. Next up, we have Nancy Dominguez. Nancy is not with us. Iris?
Yes, Iris Rivera.
Yes, go ahead.
Ok. Hola a todos, mi nombre es.
Iris, are you still on?
Yes.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay. Hola a todos, mi nombre es Iris Rivera, tengo 28 años y soy de Honduras. Yo llegué a este país en abril del 2018 junto con mi niña Suani de 2 años, que ahora tiene 7 años. Actualmente tengo una niña de 11 meses. Ella nació aquí y se llama Daniela. Sí. En la etapa de mi embarazo no encontré un lugar para hacer mis controles prenatales aquí en el condado de Howard por ser indocumentada, al cual tenía que viajar pagando Uber de ida y vuelta, más el costo de la consulta, más los exámenes y sonogramas que me tocaba que hacer. En cada más, en el último mes de embarazo me tocaba ir 4 veces al mes. Personalmente, el no tener acceso a la atención médica en mi condado me ha afectado. Lo que yo pido a todos ustedes que por favor podamos tener un apoyo a mujeres como yo que están embarazadas, pero sobre todo tener acceso a una atención médica aquí en mi condado y no tener que irme a otros condados a recibir servicios.
And I'll be translating for her. Hello, everyone. My name is Iris. I'm 28 years old, and I am from Honduras. I arrived in this country in April of 2018, together with my 2-year-old daughter, Suani, who is now 7 years old. I currently have another 11-month-old, and she was born here, and her name is Daniela. At the stage of my pregnancy, I did not find a place to do my prenatal checkups here in Howard County for being undocumented, but thank God I was eligible to apply for a discount at Baltimore Medical System, to which I had to travel, paying Uber round trips, plus the cost of the consultations, plus the exams and sonograms that I had to do. On each trip, I had to pay about $75 between Uber and consultations without counting other expenses. In the last month of my pregnancy, I had to go 4 times a month. Personally, not having access to healthcare in my county has affected me and my family a lot, despite having the discount provided. When I ask all of you that we can please support women and people like me who are pregnant, above all having access to medical care here in my county and not having to go to other counties to receive services. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for your courage and your testimony, Iris.
Next up, we have Chikijai Coley, followed by Pam Taylor.
Greetings. Are you able to hear me? I'm testing 1, 2.
We can hear you.
We can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. Happy holidays, and thank you for this opportunity to share my story. My name is Shikasia Coley, and I live in Howard County. I have a child in the Howard County Public Schools, and I became a leader in PATH through the listening sessions. It's been challenging to share my story, and for a long time I didn't have the words. Some of it was language that I just didn't have, and some of it was what I felt. I felt stunned and ashamed by the experience that I was having in terms of housing in Howard County. I'm beginning to develop the language, however, and as I do, I'm feeling more affirmed and fluid and less ashamed and more secure. My experience is also layered. Some of those layers are also experienced by other women who find themselves in similar positions as I do. To begin, I am a marginalized Black woman who has been in the county on the margins looking in. It's a challenging place to be when I know that there are better ways to live, and I see that quote unquote better here every day. I have work to do on a personal level, but I also feel the need to share housing stories in whatever capacities that I can to help build awareness and prayerfully encourage more decisive and healthy actions on the parts of others who have similar stories that I do with regards to housing. I believe that sharing might help us to learn from each other and to begin to make a change that in our own lives as we seek support and solutions from forums such as this. So I want to say thank you to the council. I want to say thank you to the county executive and thanks to PATH for all of the work that's being done. Backstory, I first moved to Howard County from Philadelphia in 2013 so that my daughter could attend schools here and have an opportunity to be a part of what I came to understand to be one of the best performing school districts in the nation. Her father lived in the area, and I had heard from family members who also lived here years beforehand that the schools were ranked high nationally. And I graduated with my master's degree from a Maryland university a few years prior, so I was familiar with the area. Also, it seemed like it all made sense to be in Howard County, and it also seemed beneficial. It was far from a smooth transition, however. We initially lived with my daughter's father for almost 2 years, who is an abusive person. So we ended up in a safe house with HopeWorks, and I started working in DC public schools as a substitute teacher. From the safe house, it took quite a while to commute to work. My daughter's father took the car that we bought together and a phone. So that was a huge setback and created a few hurdles. I received some temporary assistance with transportation from the safe house. I would go to the commuter station on Broken Land Parkway, and they would help with tokens so that I can take regional buses. The buses were very challenging. In short, the schedule was often unclear, the routes were very long, and the buses ran on a limited schedule. We received temporary assistance at the safe house, but we soon had to move again within a short period of time, 60 days. So that didn't provide much time to stabilize. I did receive monies to help relocate, but I ended up in what I would call a loop. I had a hard time keeping up with rent because I wasn't making enough. I ended up in a situation where I had to go to court, and Howard County is not very forgiving when people end up in these type of situations. You have a short amount of time to either come up with all of the monies, or you'll be evicted, or you need to make another quick jump, which ends up putting you into a cycle of marginalization and destabilization. And that becomes challenging, and it can last for quite a while. I was recently in a situation where the rent increased pretty substantially for somebody like me, and it made living very, very challenging. I was in Autumn Crest Apartments recently. We had problems with maintenance and structure and environment, and it ended up being a situation where I had to leave from that situation as well, just because it wasn't really safe and it wasn't affordable. My request is that you increase the funding for the Housing Opportunity Trust Fund to 10 million for effective and sustainable changes that affirmatively impact lives in Howard County. I want to also let you know that PATH values the opportunity for all people to thrive, and our members are deeply concerned with the lack of affordable housing in the county. And we see the very impacts, and out of the compassion for humanity, we're asking you to take courses of action that help bring people closer to stable living and healthier lives. My sincerest thanks for your time, ear, and consideration to a truly healthier Howard County. A stable home is everything. It's a chance to grow and enjoy your holidays. Thank you.
Congratulations on your perseverance, and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Pam Taylor, followed by Kevin Burke. Pam? Yes, we can.
Hi, 1 second. Excuse me. I'm here to testify as a resident of Howard County. First of all, thank you to the council and County Executive Ball for allowing me to testify. And I've been a resident of the county at the same location for 20 years and used to enjoy gardening and growing my own food. And over the years, I have seen the deer population grow out of control. Their excrement has become a health hazard to myself and any children who are playing in my yard. They make driving in the daytime and at night dangerous. They also increase my risk and others of Lyme's disease. And also, if you have any domestic animals, any pets. I've not been able to have a vegetable garden for years because they eat everything. I've done as much as I can to convert my landscaping plants to deer resistant, but I have just seen such a growth. I reached out to the deer management employee with the county and found out that there is a staff of one with a limited budget. So I urge you to please increase funding and support this department so that we can increase the deer management in the county to make it safer for ourselves. It is not a service to the deer to allow them to keep overpopulating. They frequently look undernourished and unhealthy, and it's just not a good balance, of nature and humanity. Unfortunately, developers have taken a lot of the land that they would have roamed freely and eaten that vegetation. But I urge you to support more funding for deer management in the county. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Kevin Burke, followed by Nancy Dominguez.
This is
Kevin?
Burke. Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good evening. This is Kevin Burke of Savage, Maryland, speaking on behalf of the Savage Community Association. First off, congratulations to Dr. Ball on your reelection. Look forward to 4 more years of you as our county executive. I'd like to express Savage's appreciation for county investments like the Complete Streets project, which has made our neighborhoods safer and more accessible for residents and visitors alike. We'd support expansion of Complete Streets to other communities, including Jessup and North Laurel, particularly along the Route 1 corridor. We also want to thank you all for the purchase of 5 acres of woodlands for preservation in addition to the Savage Park, the recent improvement in new playgrounds at Savage Park, and also the funding with the Board of Education of construction of High School 13. Keep it short and simple. Savage Community Association would like to see prioritization, allocation of funding to construct and complete a public pool at the North Laurel Community Center by or before 2028. The Savage Community Association also requests additional funds for park maintenance and improvements, including additional resources to help keep the Savage parks and riverbanks accessible and clean so the community can continue to enjoy the benefits of these wonderful natural resources. We also request funding for construction of a pedestrian bridge over the Middle Patuxent River connecting the Savage Mill Trail to the Winkopin Trails, which would allow continuous park access all the way from Savage to Lake Elkhorn, Columbia, and beyond. The Savage Community Association also requests Howard County work with the Board of Education and School Superintendent to fund the renovation of existing schools and construction of additional permanent classroom space in order to reduce the reliance on portable classrooms and disruptive redistricting to mitigate overcrowding in our schools. The Savage Community Association also supports the funding of a trade school, such as the proposed Workforce Development Trade Center at Howard County Community College. This is, we have many tradespeople who are our neighbors here in Savage. We appreciate them. We think they make great neighbors and help make our community stronger, as well as servicing the needs of our economy in general. That pretty much sums up Savage Community Association's interest in this budget hearing. I want to thank Dr. Ball, all the county staff who are supporting this hearing, and everyone who has participated and contributed their input tonight.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Nancy Dominguez. Nancy, you should have received a request to unmute. Okay, we'll move to Chris Oviedo.
You hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Good evening, Dr. Ball and everyone else on this call. Cris Oviedo here, Howard County resident for over 15 years and an immigrant. I'm coming tonight wearing a few hats and tuning into a few different topics. First, I come as a mother who wants to give the best opportunity to her children. And I ask that you fully fund our educational institutions in the county, the Howard County Public School System, the library system, and the Howard Community College. As an immigrant, I can't tell you how many times I've relied on both the school system, the library, and the college to find connection, information, and to further my own education. And I also have found opportunities to help others in each one of these institutions. I know that education is a priority for you, and I ask that you continue to hold that priority so our children can thrive, and also so that our immigrant community can benefit fully of what our schools, our libraries, and our community college have to offer to us. If we invest in education, we invest in our future. I also come to ask that you continue to fund the prenatal care program that we started last year. We just heard a testimony in Spanish of somebody who would benefit from something like this. I know that other statewide legislations are scheduled to start this summer, but Dr. Ball, this will not be enough, and we cannot rely on the state to care for our residents. Howard County must continue to provide its own program for those who do not have access to health care. And so I ask that you add $1 million to this upcoming fiscal year to ensure that all pregnant women in our county continue to have the care that they deserve. I also want to ask you to continue to support our nonprofits in your budget. We have a number of organizations in our county that are providing amazing direct services to our residents, like Columbia Community Care, The Third, Freetown Farm, Luminous, the Howard County Autism Society, and so many others. Please continue to include them in your budget and create opportunities for them to stay fully funded and serving those who need it the most. I also come tonight as a commissioner of Alianza Latina to first thank you for your continued care and support of our comunidad, and second, to ask that we continue building upon what we have started. Dr. Ball, I know that you are committed to making Howard County inclusive and equitable. And that's why tonight I would like to Hispanic and Immigrant Affairs Officer position for our county. Hispanics and immigrants need to have a director who works closely with the county executives team and serves as the liaison between our communities and county offices. This person would serve as that middle point that develops the relationships between people, government, and other institutions that support students, entrepreneurs, and all immigrant families. This person would also work with the different county commissions and other county liaisons to build a strong supportive network in Howard County and beyond. Dr. Ball, all neighboring counties and Washington, D.C. included, have a person in a position like this already. It is time for Howard County to join them and create a Hispanic and Immigrant Affairs Officer position who's fairly compensated and counts with a healthy budget, and who can dedicate their efforts to tackle the existing disparities noted on the library's equity report and continue to build an inclusive and equitable county for all. A person like that could maybe support the efforts tonight. I hear so many Hispanic names called that are not being able to unmute, and it's you know, a person like that could help with little things like that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. Feliz Navidad and happy holidays to everyone. And if I may, si es que están escuchando y les llamaron su nombre, les va a aparecer en la pantalla un mensaje que dice unmute. aplaste el botón que dice unmute para que puedan hablar, por favor, y dar su testimonio. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Chris. Your multifaceted testimony speaks again to all of the different roles and your service and to so many in our community. Thank you for your testimony. And thank you again for also helping our Spanish speakers be empowered. And Feliz Navidad to you also.
Thank you.
Next up, we have John Iano, followed by Regina Lee.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thanks. Dr. Ball and your team, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is John Iano, and I'm the president of the Hammond Manor Homeowners Association. I've been a resident of Howard County since 1995. We're a very small neighborhood of 29 homes, and we're located along Gorman Road between the traffic circle where Gorman and Johns Hopkins intersect Route 29 and where Elijah intersects into Gorman Road. It's a stretch of about 1 mile. And I wanted to speak to you tonight about that 1 mile. It has become an increasingly dangerous stretch of road for bikers and walkers, both those walking and riding along Gorman, as well as those crossing Gorman from the many neighborhoods that are on both sides of that stretch of road. There at this time are no sidewalks along that stretch. There's no traffic calming devices. There's no traffic devices of any kind at all. The speed limit is 30, but generally it is not followed. Recently, Wellington's Farms is a development that is going in at the intersection of Elijah and Gorman, and this has increased traffic further. And as you may know, just across 29 from that traffic circle, we have the Applied Physics Lab, Johns Hopkins. So there's a lot of traffic on this road. Drivers really are not aware of the speed limit, I don't think, or of the need to be mindful of bikers and pedestrians that are walking along there. And so for this reason, on behalf of the association's board of directors, and I know others in this neighborhood have been reaching out as well, I'm requesting that the council and that you consider including in the budget some funding for any number of pedestrian and bike safety initiatives that could be put on this short stretch of Gorman Road. Anything to include sidewalks, pedestrian crossings with striping and flashing lights, perhaps. Any traffic calming devices at all would be welcome in order to protect, as I say, the pedestrians that are currently using this area and are really at quite a bit of risk. That's really all I have to say. I appreciate again the opportunity. I wish everyone happy holidays and thank you very much.
Happy holidays and thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Regina Lee, followed by Angie Boyder.
Before I begin my testimony, as a person with a disability, I want to say thank you for the council to have an interpreter. However, I've noticed that everyone is speaking much too fast. And because no one can read anyone's lips that are speaking, it's going to be hard for people to follow along. So I want to ask in the future if people will be a little mindful of the interpreter.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak on behalf of Project L00200, which is the new Howard County Library System Central Branch. Good evening, Howard County leaders and participants. My name is Regina Lee, and I'm a member of CAF and a member of St. John Baptist Church. I am a 66-year-old Black married female with muscular dystrophy who uses a wheelchair for total mobility. My experiences has revealed to me that there is an urgent need for affordable, accessible homes for residents who use wheelchairs, not just in Howard County, but throughout the state of Maryland. The development of affordable housing over the Central Library is critical for people like me. It deserves to be properly funded so it can move forward as soon as possible. I have been a Howard County resident since 2015 because of the non-existent and or lack of affordable and wheelchair accessible two-bedroom apartments in Prince George's County. I was on the waiting list there for 7 frustrating years, and it shouldn't be that hard. During that time, I received notices every year regarding the property, inaccessible properties, and it shouldn't be that hard. I am technically not in an ADA compliant apartment at this time, but I am able to enter the apartment barrier-free and roll under my bathroom sink, but I do not have a roll-in shower. Without the help of my husband and attendant, I would be in an assisted living home. It has taken 5 months here in Howard County to receive an upgraded voucher because of an inexperienced housing specialist. It shouldn't be that hard. However, the cost of keeping up with the home and paying for an attendant is not cheap. I want to be a homeowner, or at least rent a home, but I'm afraid of the uncertain financial burden of the upkeep and accessible home. Once people can afford to rent, lease, or purchase an affordable home, how can they continue to afford to live in it? It is of utmost importance that Howard County increases the number of affordable units and also designates some of them to be accessible for people with disabilities. And in closing, I want to say, I stand with thousands of people of the faith in path who believe we should all have the chance to live in dignified housing and urge you to fund the new Central Library Housing Development. Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you for your testimony and happy holidays.
Next up, we have Angie Boyder, followed by James Fraser. Angie's not with us. James Fraser. James is not with us. Next up, we have Stephen Luttrell. Stephen's not with us. Next up, we have Ruth White. Ruth?
Hello,
We can hear you.
can you hear me? Okay. In local climate groups where the mantra of activism is turning away from burning fossil fuels like methane gas and electrifying everything. I'm urging you, Dr. Ball, to have budget sufficient for staff to upgrade the 2024 Howard County Building Code to call for electrification of new buildings. And if there aren't sufficient county staff to put that in the budget or to hire consultants to assist in drafting a good electrification code. We note also that the draft county climate action plan is aspirational, but needs a detailed implementation plan to demonstrate how it will reach county climate goals. And again, if money is needed for staff to do the detailed goal setting, detailed action plan, or contractors to include that in the budget and include electrification of new buildings, because that is an important first step to meeting the 2020, 2030, and 2045 climate goals, which are just 7 and 22 years in the future. Many Howard homes are already electric, but more than 50% should be switching out of gas appliances in coming years, and they can use the Inflation Reduction Act incentives and others, but allowing new buildings to install methane gas appliances will result in the need for costly removal of those appliances in the future years
And we need to future-proof new buildings now by insisting that they be all electric. We know the benefits of electrification, not only avoiding greenhouse gases from burning methane gas in our buildings. It's totally avoidable in new buildings. We know that gas stoves in homes causes 40% increased asthma in children and respiratory vulnerability in all ages, especially the aged. Also, there's a gas affordability crisis now. The cost of gas is 50% higher than last year and 200% higher than in 2020. The Office of People Counsel recent report raises alarm about the coming dramatic gas price increase. Electric buildings are cheaper to build, and the utility cost in them will be cheaper. We need to lead the way to prevent methane gas in new buildings. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Vincent Zagorski, followed by Clara Scholl. Vincent? Vincent is not with us. We'll go to Clara Scholl. Clara's not with us. We'll go to Scott Rose.
Scott Rose, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm the Chief of Community Services for Sheppard Pratt. Sheppard Pratt has partnered with Howard County government for decades to provide mental health, affordable housing, and other treatment and supportive services to Howard County citizens. We operate one of the largest outpatient mental health clinics in the county, and most recently we opened our new hospital in Elk Ridge. We're seeking continued partnership and support from the county to develop additional mental health crisis services. Specifically, we're requesting $1 million for acquisition, renovation, construction, and furnishing of property to provide one or more of the following mental health crisis stabilization services: 8 to 16 residential crisis beds, walk-in urgent care with 23-hour observation recliners, and 72-hour extended observation beds. These crisis stabilization services are needed now more than ever as the incidence of mental health needs have risen. The total capital cost of all three program components is estimated to be as much as $8 million. To date, we have secured $1.2 million grant from the Maryland Department of Health. We feel we are on track to secure another $900,000 in a state legislative bond grant. And we're asking the county to help us support and piece together these various funding sources with $1 million. Thank you for considering our request.
Thank you very much for your partnership and your testimony.
Next up, we have Kevin McAlilly, followed by Doug Seiling and Liz Fainer. If your name has not been called and you would like to provide testimony, please send a note in the chat and we will call on you. Kevin?
I'm the chair of the Wild Lake Village Board. It's a pleasure to talk to all of you. Congratulations on the election results. Tonight I am representing the vibrant Wild Lake Village Board of Directors and the new Wild Lake Community Association Executive Director and Village Manager Sharon Cooper Kerr. We appreciate the recent attention to repairing and replacing curb cuts and sidewalks, the upcoming bike lane enhancement on Twin Rivers Road, the water sewer main replacements, new energy efficient street lighting, and look forward to the expeditious repaving of our streets after this busy season of repairs. As members of the Howard County Streets for All Coalition, we ask for increases in complete streets infrastructure and connectivity improvement funding to help residents safely arrive at work, play, shopping, and school throughout the county. We continue to ask for wayfinding signage on the Wild Lake Village side of the Little Patuxent Parkway traffic light intersection at the Old Columbia Flyer Building. Specifically, this 5-year-old request is to create and install a single sign adjacent to the sidewalk and driveway entrance to the Columbia Flyer Building, owned by the county and currently used by Columbia Community Care, that identifies there as a new ADA-compliant multi-use pathway from its rear parking lot that connects downtown Columbia pedestrians, runners, and cyclists to the new solar-powered and geothermal heated Wild Lake Middle School, Wild Lake High School, home of the Jim Rouse Theater and the Wildcats, and the very popular and highly frequented LEED awarded Resilient and Sustainable Wild Lake Village Center and the Wild Lake Vista Apartments with resort quality amenities, and install another sign, a single sign, on Trumpeter Road near the schools to identify the opposite end of the new pathway to students and residents who want easy access and connectivity to Howard Community College, Columbia Community Care, the Howard County Police Department, Community Outreach Center, the Howard County General Hospital, Bland-Derrick Park Multi-Use Pathway, Symphony Woods, and the Merriweather District. Total cost is approximately $1,000. Also, we want to revisit the stream restoration segment that remains as the small unfinished link in a long segment between Harper's Choice Village and the Lake Kittamakundi in the village of Town Center. The Beaverbrook Community HOA, owners of the north side of the stream bank, and Columbia Association, owners of the south side, are aware of and have been supportive of this project, which has been pre-approved and completed years ago. Timing ran out during the original project for authorizations. The Wild Lake Village Board and its community outreach and advocacy efforts have brought parties together and now look forward to discussions and networking to locate a funding mechanism for the $50,000 design and subsequent restoration of this last eroding stream section flowing into the head of Wild Lake, the lake. Vibrant Wild Lake Village supports Howard EcoWorks and their neon-shirted workforce development crews who plant trees, manage invasive plants, landscapes, forests, and stormwater runoff projects, and who have worked with our residents and homeowners associations. Please fund their fiscal year 24 budget request of $500,000 to support the Howard EcoWorks Ready program under the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay and to implement new climate action plan acknowledging past and future focus on urban underserved communities. Lastly, please maintain funding for the dilapidated and closed Faulkner Ridge Elementary School restoration project into a childhood early learning center. In September 2022, we received this announcement. After careful consideration, our allocation of this grant will advance the blueprint for Maryland's future, providing early childhood education capacity through fully funding the Faulkner Ridge Center renovation. This project to reopen a fully built school building, a stone's throw away from surrounding homes in a thriving neighborhood, was celebrated by our community, realizing the 2 new enterprise community apartment renovation projects will make space now for arriving students. We recently found that the superintendent still considers Faulkner Ridge as a number 3 priority on his list. However, the school priorities list passed to the state did not include Faulkner Ridge in its 10-year plans. We look forward to assisting and advocating with you and the superintendent to return the project to number 3 priority status or better. Sorry I rushed through that, but thank you very, very much for everything that you and your staff are doing. Congratulations, Dr. Ball, on your election.
Thank you so much for your partnership, and efficiency is also appreciated.
We're going to go back to Vincent Zagorski. We're going to give him an extra minute to unmute. Vincent, you should have received a notification to unmute. Okay, we're going to go to Doug Sinlin. Doug is not with us. Last but not least, we're going to go to Liz Fainer.
Hi. I guess you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Liz Fainer, a 30-year resident of Howard County and volunteer with several environmental and climate organizations. I'd like to first congratulate County Executive Calvin Ball for his resounding election. I applaud Dr. Ball for creating a climate action subcabinet to ensure implementation of the county's climate plan and announcing the county's aim to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 60% below the 2005 levels by the year 2030 and achieve net zero emissions by 2045. This bold executive order ensures equity is accounted for in all decision making. And these are not the first steps the county executive has taken on climate. The administration also completed a historic solar power purchase agreement, made Howard County the first to receive the LEED Platinum certification in the Cities and Communities program, and has committed to joining Biden's National Performance Standards Coalition. I also hope you will sign the Rewiring America's coalition of mayors and municipal leaders for electrification. And finally, the administration just released the updated draft climate action plan, as this plan was last updated in 2015, so this is a good first step. I'm requesting funding for the implementation of a stronger climate action plan and bold, detailed policy to meet the needed targets for greenhouse gas emissions reduction. We must electrify all new buildings and begin the transition to get existing buildings off fossil fuels without delay, and need a comprehensive implementation plan to accomplish this. Not only is this needed for the health of our climate, but it's needed for the health of our residents, as burning fossil fuels in homes release many toxic gases. We also need a very strong plan to leverage all the federal dollars available to accomplish the needed greenhouse gas emissions reduction in our buildings and also in the transportation sector, the two largest emitting sectors in Maryland. We are in a climate emergency, so please provide funding for all hands-on-deck implementation of meeting these targets. I also want to second the request by, I think his name was John Ione, for funding road improvements along Gorman Road for the safety of pedestrians and bikers. I'd like to include improvements from the Hunters Creek development at Derby Road to the intersection at 29. Thank you so much and happy holidays.
Well, thank you so much for your testimony and happy holidays to you.
Thank you. Thank you, and that concludes our testimony. If you are unable to give oral testimony today, please feel free to send us an email at budgettestimony@howardcountymd.gov. And with that, I'll pass it back to County Executive Calvin Ball for closing remarks.
I want to thank everyone in our community who testified, everyone who is continuing to send in information, those who watched along with us. I want to thank our entire team who was willing to not only make sure that they were present and available, but also who actually made it happen, including our DTCS to ensure that we had the technology that worked, and our communications team. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday and be well.